Today, we're diving into something that's quietly brewing in the background, a real revolution that could totally flip the script on how we own property. It's called real estate tokenization, and it's all about turning giant skyscrapers into something anyone can get a piece of. Let's get into it.
So let me just start with a pretty wild thought. For as long as we can remember, those massive city skylines have basically been symbols of wealth. Something you can see, but definitely can't touch. It's a super exclusive club, right? Well, what if all that was about to change?
And I mean really, truly change. Not just for the 1%, but for everybody. Imagine, you take the money you'd spend on a weekend dinner, and instead you buy an actual, legit piece of a famous building. Sounds like something out of a movie, but it's really starting to happen.
The technology that makes all this possible, it's called tokenized real estate. Now, it's been bubbling under the surface for a little while, but 2026 is looking like the year it could really take off. And this isn't just some new app. We're talking about a potential rewiring of one of the biggest, oldest investment markets in the world.
But, to really get why this is such a big deal, we have to look at the problem it's trying to solve. For most of us, real estate feels like this locked fortress. So, what are those big walls keeping everybody out?
Let's just be real for a second. The old school way of buying property is a complete nightmare. You need a crazy amount of money for a down payment, then you have to go beg a bank for a loan, and after that, you get buried in this mountain of paperwork and lawyer fees. The whole thing takes months. It's slow, it's expensive, and honestly, it's built to keep most people out.
Okay, so what if you could just bypass all of that? This is where the big idea comes in, and believe it or not, it's about as simple as ordering a pizza.
This is the absolute core of it. Tokenization takes one huge, expensive thing, like an office building, and digitally slices it up into thousands or even millions of little pieces. They're called tokens, and each token represents a tiny bit of ownership. So, instead of needing millions to buy the whole pizza, you can just buy a single slice.
And this is a massive shift in thinking. The old world was all about one buyer, a ridiculously slow process, and for most people, the door was just locked. This new model? It's about thousands of owners, instant digital buying and selling, and opening that door to pretty much anyone. It's moving from exclusive to inclusive.
So why are investors getting so excited about all this? Well, it really boils down to three game-changing benefits. First, fractional ownership. It means you can invest in prime real estate with just a couple $100. Second is liquidity, and this is huge. Selling property can take forever, but tokens, they can be traded online almost instantly. And third, passive income. If the building you own a piece of collects rent, you, as a token holder, get your cut. Simple as that.
Okay, that all sounds incredible. Maybe a little too incredible, right? And that's usually our cue to just pause for a second. Because with every shiny new promise, there's always a dark side, and we really need to take a close look at it.
This is the part of the story you won't see in the flashy ads or the marketing emails. Because while the potential is absolutely real, ignoring the dangers here could be a really expensive mistake.
So let's get into it. We're going to break down the three biggest hidden dangers that could turn this dream investment into a total nightmare. It's time for a reality check.
Okay, the first major risk is all about regulation. This technology is moving so much faster than the law is. We're smashing together 100-year-old property laws with brand new blockchain tech, and governments are still just scratching their heads trying to figure it all out.
Just imagine this for a second. Some government agency changes a rule overnight, with no warning. That could just freeze all trading on a platform. Or worse, shut it down completely. And suddenly, your investment, that digital slice you own, is trapped. You can't sell it, and you have no idea when or even if you'll ever get your money back.
The second risk, well, it's just as scary. What happens if the company, the platform managing your investment, goes out of business? I mean, think about it. You don't interact with the building itself, right? You use an app on your phone. That platform is the middleman for everything. But what if that middleman just vanishes?
If that platform goes under, who's responsible for anything? Who collects the rent and makes sure you get paid? Who fixes a leaky roof? Who legally proves you own what you think you own? In the worst-case scenario, your token becomes a useless digital receipt, and it's basically worth nothing. And that brings us to the third risk, and maybe the most important one of all. It's a simple question with a very complicated answer. What do you actually own? This part is so critical to understand. In many of these setups, buying a token does not mean you legally own the brick and mortar. It means you own a claim to the profits, like the rent money. It sounds like a small difference, but legally it's massive. It means you might have no say in how the property is managed. And if things go south, the person holding the actual legal deed has way more power than you do.
So, after hearing all of that, what's the big takeaway? Is this whole thing just a trap to be avoided? Well, not necessarily. The key is to walk into this with your eyes wide open.
Look,
Tokenized real estate isn't a scam, but it's not some magic button to get rich either. What it is a brand new system. And like all brand new systems, it's got weak points. It's fragile. The people who jump in first always face the biggest risks before all the kinks are worked out.
So, if you're curious, the smart way to go about it is to be cautious. Don't bet the farm on this. Start with an amount of money you'd be okay with losing. And please, please, read the fine print. Understand what you're actually buying. And don't just trust the hype you see online. Do your own homework.
And that leaves us with the final question, really. This technology gives us this amazing vision of the future, a world where anyone can invest in anything. But is it really the democratization of investing we've been hoping for? Or is it just another complicated, high-risk game wrapped up in a simple, shiny package? That's the billion-dollar question that's going to get answered over the next few years.